When you hear the word compact SUV, the model that probably comes to your mind would be the Hyundai Creta or even the Kia Seltos. But for me, the car that comes to my mind is the one that started the trend in India. Yes, I am talking about the Renault Duster. It had been in the Indian market. It was the car that started the trend of compact SUVs in our country. Yes, the Creta and the Seltos and other models took it to new heights, but that was the OG. And 5 years back, Renault decided to pull the plug on that SUV due to low demands and several other reasons. But the Duster name has returned to the Indian market in 2026 with a all new gen platform, new looks, new design. You have seen that on our channel, but today I am driving that very SUV. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Car and Bike. I am Seshan Vijay Raghavan and this is the first drive review of the 2026 Renault Duster. Now this new Duster was revealed a few months ago and we have done a proper first look video explaining all things about the new looks, the new features and the platform. So you can head over to that and check out those videos for all those details. Today I am going to mainly talk about the drive experience because that is the biggest highlight of this SUV. The big talking point, this engine is the very same unit that does duty even on the Mercedes GLA and the A-Class. So yes, this is a capable motor and has a very different purpose for this Duster. And that very same engine makes the Duster stand out in the entire segment because this is the most powerful turbo petrol option you will find in this segment. Over 160 brake horsepower to be precise. That's more than what the Kushaq or even the Creta makes, despite their larger 1.5 litre turbo petrol engine. Torque is strong too at 280 Nm, giving the new Duster plenty of pulling power and grunt to assert its dominance in this segment. Now this engine is smooth and refined, but it also has a lot of character. It is powerful, it is punchy, and it feels like it is capable of handling any kind of terrain. And that is how Renault is also trying to position the Duster as. Although it doesn't have all-wheel drive like the previous generation model, but Renault says that it is contemplating that aspect as well. And if there is a demand, we might see one in the future. But as of now, this is a front-wheel drive setup, and all things said and done, it doesn't feel like we have been shortchanged or anything. So Renault chose to keep this media drive in Uttarakhand, and we are driving the Duster around the roads of Dehradun and Rishikesh, and mostly we have been experiencing these twisty mountain roads. And I feel this is the right kind of setup to understand what this SUV has to offer. It is quite capable of taking these high elevation roads, and so far I haven't faced any problem with this Duster. Now with this 1.3 litre engine, you can choose to either get the 6-speed manual like the one I am driving right now, or opt for a dual clutch transmission, that is the DCT Automatic. While I'll get to the DCT in a bit, first let me talk about this lovely manual gearbox. Now the first gear is a bit tall, and if you are going to drive mostly around such kind of roads, that will be of a big help. But even in city conditions, when you are driving stop and go traffic, even there it will come in handy. This means fewer gear shifts at low RPM, which aids fuel efficiency in such conditions. In fact, the onboard readout showed 10.7 kilometers per litre. Impressive, especially since I wasn't light on the throttle. This also means that there is a slight trade-off in initial acceleration, but the engine builds pace quickly through the ratios, and at no point does the SUV feel sluggish. It has a solid mid-range and strong top-end performance as well. Now yes, there is a smaller 1 litre turbo petrol as well, but that will be available only with a 6-speed manual gearbox, and there is no automatic option. Now it is possible that the 1 litre version will be the volume seller for all practical purposes, but Renault says that it wants to see more of these 1.3 litre units on the road. What I also like about this manual version is this gear shifter. This is a well designed, nice short shifter lever, has a nice feel to it, it's very premium. There are metal parts on it. So yes, it will make that driver in you very happy. And the clutch too is just right. It's not too heavy, not too light, and has that perfect travel. And talking about the clutch, this is probably the only SUV in this segment that comes with a wet clutch unit, and that makes all the difference over here. And I can say that because I have experienced this clutch in action while driving through these mountain roads where there was this constant need to engage it. And I have to say, this does make me a bit more happy that I am driving a manual today. Overall, if you are someone who loves a manual car, the Duster will definitely impress you. Now, moving from that manual to this automatic does change a few things. Now, firstly, this is a dual clutch transmission, an automatic unit, and it's a 6-speed unit. And I'm glad that Renault has gone for a proper automatic instead of choosing something like a pseudo automatic like an AMT or maybe even a CVT. This is a fine choice because a lot of other cars in this space are offering proper good automatic, and in the time that I have driven this is one of the nicer ones out there. The shifts are nice, it is smooth, and it does a fine job at sending power to the front wheels. Now, we have been driving it in these mountain roads, and so far I haven't faced any lag in terms of shifts. It has been quite smooth, it has been timely, and it doesn't feel like there is any sluggishness over here, and that is a good thing, and that is something that we expect from a DCT. Now, what you get over here is an electronic shifter, and along with that you also get an electronic parking brake. And this is a good thing because a lot of other cars in this space are offering such a setup, and I'm glad that Renault has chipped in to offer this sophisticated unit instead of offering a conventional shifter unit, and that also elevates the overall premiumness of this SUV. Now, in general, this DCT does a fine job, but if you want a bit more command in your hands and you want a bit more responsiveness from this SUV, especially while driving in such twisty roads, then you also have paddle shifters, and they do a fine job. In fact, the shifts are nice and quite quick. But if you are driving mostly in urban environment or and you do highway runs a lot, then you don't even need to use the paddle shifters because this automatic unit is quite efficient and quite quick. Now, the previous Duster was loved for its great drivability and ride comfort, and Renault has maintained those aspects in this new Duster as well, and this new model too will certainly stand out in those aspects. I have been driving this SUV today on different set of roads. I have seen broken tarmacs, broken mountain roads, unpaved roads, nice set of tarmacs, and nowhere did this SUV feel that it was out of its comfort zone. The SUV handles the broken tarmac and the undulations with grace, while on smoother roads it feels stable, it feels steady and quite confident. The suspension too, it is neither too soft nor too stiff. It has that right balance that will keep the occupants of this SUV in comfort throughout any kind of terrain. These twisty roads have also helped me realize how well the Duster handles itself, because I have been putting it through some very sharp corners and different kind of elevations, and nowhere did I see a drop in confidence. The car's reaction to the steering inputs is quite precise. It does feel stable, it does feel confident, and the steering itself has a nice heft to it. You have good feedback from it. There is one thing that a lot of people miss while talking about driving experience, and that is the ergonomics, and I would like to address this over here, especially with the Duster. Firstly, the seats are nice and well cushioned. You have good bolstering, and what is a plus point over here is that Renault is offering you adjustment for lumbar and bolster support, both for the driver as well as co-driver. So you will see there are these dials on either side of the seats. That is a good thing to offer. You also get power adjustment both for the driver and co-driver, another big plus in my books, and it is both 6-way adjustment. And then you also get seat ventilation for both the driver and co-driver. So overall, the ergonomics as well as the comfort factor is quite high. Well, that was about all the driving bit, but now that we are in this beautiful location, I would like to talk about some of the visual things that stood out for me. Now, all the specifics are there in our first look video, but here I'm going to talk about what attracted me particularly. And one of those things is this hood. Now, it has this nice power dome at the center. Now, this from the outside might not feel that big, but when you are behind the steering wheel and you have that driver's view, this certainly makes a lot of difference. It is right in front of you, and that gives you a commanding position, especially when you're driving wherever you are, be it in traffic or on these hilly terrains. What I like about this particular launch edition model is also this new jade green color, but the highlight over here is these neon touches around the Duster word mark on the grille. I feel that this kind of a design doesn't go with all the vehicles, but for the Duster, this looks certainly nice. Of course, you have the headlights and all. I like the piano black finishes, but one of the big aspects is these wheels. 18-inch wheels are standard on the top of the line variant, but this particular version gets all black wheels, whereas the regular version of the top of the line Duster gets these dual tone diamond cut alloys with these black and silver finish. One thing that I have not been a fan of though is having the rear door handle on the C-pillar. Now this is over here. In some cases, if the brand has integrated it nicely, it looks nice. But here it looks more like an afterthought in terms of design. This handle could have been well integrated into this metal part itself, or it could have been well designed over here. Here it looks a bit like an afterthought. Also, the plastic used over here is not of the best quality. Now on the profile, you also have this roof rail which also gets this piano black finish, and this Duster lettering over here in neon green. This is also missing on the regular top of the line version, but you get it with this special version of the top of the line model. Coming to the rear section, this is the part that I am not a big fan of. You have this connected lights. It's also parallel to this chrome finish, but it looks a bit too busy. That is one thing that I am not a big fan of. The second thing is, from the rear, it looks smaller than the SUV is. It makes the SUV look smaller. In fact, this will more or less remind you of the Kiger's rear section, and that is something that doesn't go well with the overall front end, which looks massive, which looks bold, and which looks chunky. Now inside the cabin, there are a lot of things to like. Unlike the previous generation of the Duster, here the cabin design looks more well thought of, and over here the touchscreen too is not like an afterthought. There you had the design looked like an afterthought, and it was not that well integrated. You have a different 10.25-inch display over here and a 10-inch unit over here, but the design, the UI interface looks very crisp and nice. I particularly like the cluster design. The color tones are nice. You have the map integration on this because this is an Android based unit, so it has Google specific features already integrated, so you do not need to connect your Android Auto to use Google Maps, but you can connect your phone as well, and of course there's wireless and Apple CarPlay as well. And this integration of the cluster too looks nice. The steering design has this nice hexagonal shape, and it has a nice solid feel to it. The quality of the leatherette material used over here is also very nice. I also like the seats. What I am not a big fan of is some of the plastics used over here. These are hard plastics. It feels fit and finish is nice, but the quality of the plastics could have been better. You have a nice IRVM. This is of course a day and night IRVM, so this too is a nice feature. There is a 360-degree view camera as well, and this could have been better. The camera quality could have been slightly better, so that is something that I feel would have elevated the overall experience. In the manual version, the center tunnel is well designed. In fact, it's much more spacious. You have lot more compartments there. Because it's in the automatic, here you have an e-shifter, so you have multiple components inside here, so the space is a little bit less, but it is not unusable. You have a nice spacious wireless phone charger here. You have a couple of cup holders with a sliding panel, and of course a central armrest with storage underneath as well. And then you have the party piece that a lot of buyers today love, that is this panoramic sunroof. Now coming to the rear section, this is where the dimensions of the SUV come into play. Now we have already told you in our previous videos that in terms of size, in terms of the wheelbase length, this might not be as good as some of the other rivals in this space, maybe like the Tata Sierra or the Seltos, but overall that doesn't make a huge difference. But where it makes a difference is the rear seat experience. Now this is set to my driving position. I am 5 feet 9 inches tall, and I do not have much problem over here. So it's nice space, but because of the dark interiors, the space feels a bit more cramped than it is. Of course, you have a lot of creature comforts over here. You have adjustable headrests for all 3 passengers. You have 3-pointed seat belts for all 3 passengers. That's a great deal. Then you have this nice armrest which sits at a nice position, so your arm is in a perfect spot. What is not that great though, that it's not wide enough. So having three passengers sitting over here will be difficult, especially for the middle row passenger because of the big tunnel over here, transmission tunnel. But you have rear air vents, you have type C ports for the rear passengers. Features wise, it is quite nice and well put together. But in terms of comfort, in terms of the visual appearance it gives, there you might feel that the cabin of the new Duster might not be as spacious as its rivals. Compared to the earlier Duster, this one marks a clear step up in safety. You get 6 airbags, ABS with EBD, ISOFIX mounts, 3-point seat belts for all with front pre-tensioners and rear parking sensors as standard, along with electronic aids like ESP, traction control, cornering stability control, hill start assist and tire pressure monitoring system. Top spec variant further up the game with ADAS, bringing the Duster in line with more modern rivals. The ADAS functions are on your screen. So in a nutshell then, the new Duster is a well put together package. It has a nice set of engines, it has a nice set of features on offer. Visually it looks quite commanding and impressive. And then you have a well put together safety package as well. Overall it ticks all the right boxes. And then it comes to the pricing. Renault has launched the Duster at a starting price of 10,29,000 rupees for the initial buyers under the R Pass program. And then even if you pass that, you have that 10,49,000 starting price. And for me, even that pricing is quite spot on, because the features that you get, the performance that is on offer, and all that safety package and the creature comforts, everything justifies that price tag. And this also allows the Duster to undercut some of its rivals. What further will bring a lot of buyers to Renault's showrooms is the 7-year warranty on this SUV, and that is something that none of the other car makers in this space are offering. So what do you think about the new Duster? Let us know in the comments. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow enthusiasts and people who are waiting for this SUV to arrive. And for more such videos, keep following Car and Bike.